for joining us tonight. My name is Jolie Schwab. I'm on the Board of Trustees of American Jewish World Service, or AJWS, as what I like to be called. And I'm also the co-chair of the New York Leadership Council for AJWS and the host of tonight's event. The New York Leadership Council is a group of passionate AJWS supporters who plan events like this one to build community and educate each other about our work to end poverty and promote human rights in the developing world. Tonight's event, Behind the Lens, a global portrait of women and girls, coincides with the UN Commission on the Status of Women taking place in New York this week. And our event also honors International Women's Day, which happened on March 8th. Inspired by Jewish values and history, AJWS believes in the essential human dignity of each and every person. I'm deeply proud that AJWS is a generous funder of the rights of women and girls worldwide. We work in 19 countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean to enable women and girls to live free from violence, make decisions about their own bodies, and have access to education, health care, and employment. I've had the privilege of traveling with AJWS to witness the extraordinary human rights efforts led by and for women and girls. Whether they're fighting for the rights to stay in school in India or organizing the use of, against the use of rape as a weapon of war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I know that they're building a world that I want to live in. And when I look at the photographs I've taken on the various trips that I've gone on, I'm reminded of the power of photography in bringing the stories of women and girls to life. Like the pictures you saw upstairs, they just transcend and speak a reality. Tonight, I'm thrilled that we'll have the opportunity to learn about some of these stories. And now, I'd like to turn it over to our host for the evening, Jackie Judd. Jackie is a special correspondent for the PBS NewsHour, where she reports on domestic policy. A lifelong journalist, she's reported for NPR, CBS News, and ABC News, covering politics and social policy, as well as major international events. Jackie's been recognized with many awards, including national Emmys. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolie. And thank you all for having me. I'm thrilled that all of you are here because tonight is going to be a really special evening, and that's because we have two people who are our guests, and they are people who do good in the world. And especially these days, what could be better than that? One of our guests stands behind the camera to shoot his subjects, and our other stands alongside those that she helps. And still, the paths of our two guests have intersected. Together, they have stories to share of determination and resiliency and success and, yes, failure among women struggling for basic human rights. Jonathan Torgovnik, I rehearse that so often, is an award-winning photographer and videographer. And as Julie said, he is someone who believes that photography can be a catalyst for social change. He focuses on the immense challenges facing women and girls in every corner of the globe. He's traveled extensively to photograph and collect stories from people who truly are among the most oppressed in the world, as well as the people working to change those circumstances through education, organizing, and advocacy. You've already seen some of his gorgeous photographs upstairs, and I hope you all have done the virtual reality tour of his video because it's beyond cool. And in a moment, he's going to share the fuller stories behind those photographs with that single click of his lens. What's the story behind that single click? While Jonathan has traveled to many countries with AJWS, including Burma, Uganda, Haiti, Guatemala, the list goes on, he has spent a significant amount of time in India, documenting the phenomenon of child or early marriage and the journeys of young women who are striving to break away from those cultural conventions that bind them so tightly. To put this in a bit of perspective, 15 million girls and women every year younger than 18 get married. UNICEF identifies that as a clear violation of basic human rights. 1/3 of these children and young women live in India. And we know that for many of them, it is not a choice. It is a demand. They are forced to marry. And we know from the research that these young women who get married are so much more likely to experience a lifetime of poverty, violence in their own homes, and a lack of education. And that is the world that our second do-gooder occupies. Meenu Vadera is the founder and the executive director of the Azad Foundation in India. It's an organization that AJWS supports with great passion and commitment. I've seen that over the past couple of days. Meenu pioneered a program within Azad called Women on Wheels, which we're going to be hearing about through the program, but I will just give you a slight tease to say that there is an amazing, simple elegance to this program that has had a life-altering impact on many hundreds of young women. And now I would like to turn the stage over to Jonathan to share some of his favorite, most meaningful photographs and video from his travels with AJWS. Jonathan?
Good evening, and thank you, Jen. I would like to thank AJWS for inviting me to come here and share some of these stories from the journey that I've had with them around the world. I just heard that AJWS works in 19 countries. I covered 8 so far, so I'm hoping I can get to all of them eventually. Yeah, and, you know, there's 8 countries that I covered in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. And you know, when I was initially approached by AJWS a few years ago to collaborate with them and document the great programs that they work on, I thought really it's a wonderful fit because I really believe in the mission and in the causes that they support. If it's early child marriage, land resource rights, if it's gay and lesbian rights, and others. Because from the very beginning of my career, I've been interested in covering and shedding light on social issues, on human rights, or violation of human rights, rather. And specifically in the past few years, looking at the long consequences of sexual violence that women go through in war zones, especially in Africa. I've spent a lot of time in Rwanda covering that issue. So, you know, for me this was a perfect fit, and I wanted to allow me now to share with you a few stories from the field to just kind of bring you maybe into this experience of being a photographer there and being firsthand with some of these, both the grantees that AJWS supports and the actual beneficiaries, the actual girls and women that AJWS touches and helps. We're here in India, in rural West Bengal, a place where old traditions are still practiced, where many girls are married at a very young age by their parents. And this is Sonali. Sonali sitting there in the middle with her parents on both sides. Sonali was married at the age of 14 by her parents. When she married, she was forced to stop her studies. Her husband was quite abusive to her and was really jealous of her, and she went into really deep depression. She couldn't function. She went into a very long period of depression and just not being able to do anything, was in the house, didn't go anywhere, until she luckily was able to get out of the marriage, get divorced with the permission of her parents. But she didn't know that actually getting out of that marriage would also cause extreme stigma, extreme ostracization from her community. She was shocked to see how people are treating her as if it's all her fault that this marriage did not succeed, etc. Everybody was blaming her, and went into even further depression until she was able to join one of the schools that AJWS supports, NDB CDS. It's an organization actually that supports young girls, led by a woman named Aisha, which is phenomenal, and really made it her mission, really to try to help girls like this and change some of these traditions, try to change issues relating to gender discrimination, etc. So this is the courtyard of the school where the girls go to, and it's really a heaven for them. This is a place where they flourish. This is a place they're supported. This is a place they're educated. This is a place where they can become children again, girls again, students again, and really be able to look at the future. So it was amazing to spend a few days with Sonali and at the school to see this whole process. Sonali not only continued her studies, not only was able to regain her confidence, and really become a leader within her for her peers, for her friends, and became also a teacher herself. Here you could see her tutoring some of the young kids in the school. For me, that was amazing to see. I sat through this whole session that she was teaching, and to see the excitement and the enthusiasm she had to try to help other children was really phenomenal. She also leads and teaches a group of adolescent girls, teaching them about gender equality. So, you know, from being completely traumatized, having to be married at a young age, transform through this MBB CDS organization, grantee of AJWS, to be a young leader. Here she's even doing advocacy work. She goes out on the streets with the other kids, and they perform and sing and do these skits relating to these issues to try to change the mindset of the people in that area, in that village. So for me, it was quite impressive. This image I put here just, it was beautiful to see them riding their bicycles and everything. But behind this idea of the bicycle, in many countries in Africa and in India, if you don't have a bicycle, you don't have education. And one of the things MDB CDS does is provide bicycles to these girls to be able to go to school, because they live in very far places, and if they wouldn't have a bicycle, they would not have education. So little things like this, sometimes, oh, it's a great picture of some girls on bicycles going to school, but there are stories behind them, important ones. And today, her relationship also with her parents is great. The parents understand that perhaps it was a mistake to marry her in such a young age, and what they really want is for their daughter to be happy. So it was really, and we actually also produced a film about her story, and we sat with her, and she was very candid and opened up to us in a very emotional way. So it was for me, it was quite an emotional experience to spend the time with her in that village, and to see, look how a beautiful girl, and now really sees the future to be a leader within her community. And now I want to transform to the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, to Eastern Congo, and talk a little bit about Julianne Lessange that you see here. She's actually the founder of SOFEPADI, which is one of AJWS's grantees. Again, another woman that left a very strong impact on me personally. So now, I was speaking about Sonali, which is an actual beneficiary from the work, but this is a story about one of the grantees themselves, a woman that single-handedly is trying to improve the lives of thousands of women that went through horrific experiences of rape in Eastern Congo. Since 1998, over 5 million people were killed in Eastern Congo. Tens of thousands of women have been raped. It's still going on today. The militia groups, the guerrilla groups, they're all there fighting each other. And in the middle, there's always the civilians that are suffering. And people, women like Julianne, that risking their lives every single day to do this amazing work. For me, I'm still, excited when I talk about her. To see her in the field, sorry, I'm going to move some of the pictures because, to see her in the field working, the respect she commands, she understands the value of education as well for the children of these women that she supports. She goes from house to house, talks to these women, collects their testimonies, you know, reassures them that she's going to do everything she can to help them and to restart their lives and to start the healing process. I've worked in Rwanda for many years with victims of sexual violence from the Rwandan genocide, and I know how difficult it is to restart your life after these experiences, because not only what they go through with the rape itself, but the stigma that they have to face and the rejection that they face from the community. I know it's hard to understand sometimes because, you know, at least I come from a place and from a family that if something bad happens to me, I'm supported by my family. They're my safety net. But in certain cultures, it's not that way. You know, when you're violated, actually, they look at you sometimes in a way that, you know, in a non-supportive way. So people or women like Juliette are the ones that are really the heroes in the field that are doing the groundwork on a daily basis, and it has a price too. You know, she has many death threats on her. She had many close calls. She had to relocate her entire family from where they live to another city so she can continue her work, and she will continue to work until it's done. So for me, again, another remarkable experience of a remarkable person to be with and to follow. Sorry, I'm trying to move these slides. She also helps marginalized communities in Eastern Congo. This is a community of pygmies that also treated in really a very discriminatory way in Congo. So she sits with them, she listens to them. She doesn't just come there for the camera, for the photographer to take the picture. She really does the work and collects their testimony. She writes down the issues that they have to face, and then she tries to go to the local leadership and even to higher levels of government to try to do something about it. She's a real doer. And, you know, just have fun with them as well. And sometimes, for some of these people that are suffering like this, the fact that there is someone there that's watching over you, or watching your back, or trying to do something for you, just that they know that there's someone there that's caring. Maybe it will take a long time. It's already something in the beginning of a healing process, for instance. One of the things I admire about her work is her this is, it's not the best picture I took, but it's, but it's an important one because, you know, this is a small center that she founded for women that went through horrible experiences of rape, and, you know, putting them together in this house so they can share their stories with themselves, with each other, getting some counseling, and also teaching them some skills, how to sew, how to knit, how to do something so they can maybe sell it in the market, so they can sustain themselves, and try to bring them back to normality is one of the things she does, and it was quite great. It was really great to see. That next picture that I want to talk about, this one. One of the things she really is amazing thing she does is really tackle the leadership, the local chiefs, the men, the guys that sometimes are responsible for doing all these things. And I sat with her here with this meeting with the chief, and she's a tough woman, I'm telling you. You know, she really, I mean, she doesn't take no for an answer, and she will make her point through, and she'll carry it through. She also works very hard in the legal system, in the court system, to get a lot of these perpetrators tried and you know, so they can actually pay for what they did. But you know, her mission is really to try to sensitize also some of these chiefs, some of these leaders, to try to end this. Like, you know, we'll talk about. I heard someone saying, Jackie, I think mentioned that how rape is used as a weapon of war, and nowhere else it's been being used today as a weapon of war more than in Eastern Congo, and it's still being used, and this is something that we need to try to stop. And from here, I'm taking you to Haiti. Here, it's a little bit of a break and a very strong focus on women and girls. I wanted to give you an example of some of the disaster relief work that AJWS does. And I was assigned to photograph several weeks after Hurricane Matthew. end of last year. We went to Haiti to visit some of those coastal communities that were very hard hit in this Category 5 hurricane that killed, I think, over 1,000 people, left hundreds of thousands homeless, and really 1.5 million people in need of humanitarian aid. As we approached the coastal areas, these were the kind of scenes we saw, which were quite horrific. You know, this hurricane really flattened most of the homes, and the one that stayed up, the roofs were gone. Complete forests were completely erased and reduced to nothing. All the crops were completely gone, so people didn't have food. You can see this is several weeks after still, a woman in her house with this water and mud on the floor. So it was still very apparent even several weeks after. But what I really felt, I don't work for AJWS. I'm a freelance photographer. I'm hired to do these contracts. I work for a lot of different organizations, a lot of publications. I'm a photojournalist. I'm a documentary photographer. And I'm assigned to do assignments around the world. And I've been to several in my career disaster areas. And one of the biggest frustrations that people have that go through these disasters, if it's earthquakes or hurricanes, is the slow response that the humanitarian aid, the NGOs and the governments have to help them. And what I love about the approach of AJWS and this, at least in this disaster relief, is this idea of giving immediate help. If it's materials to rebuild your house, or to put a tarp on your roof, or even cash grants that it's sometimes unheard of with NGOs. NGOs don't trust people. Say, no, you can't give cash to people. They'll abuse that. But think about it. When you don't have a house and you get $1,000, you're not going to buy beer with that. You're going to build your house first. Later, if you have some change, you'll buy a beer. And I love, no, in all seriousness, I love that approach because this is what needs to be done. So, an example, this is one of the women we met, that had to cover her roof with a tarp. This house was almost completely destroyed. But you see, this is the actual family members rebuilding their own houses with some bricks and cement and slowly trying to get their house together so they have a roof over their head. And here, another thing, these are observations I have, is I wanted to give a little bit of an example. This is actually us. This is us trying to get somewhere. And why am I showing this? I'm showing this because I admire this idea of getting to far-reach places, organizations that really make an effort to either do it themselves or to support organizations that don't just take the easy route to help people which have easy access to get to or near the big capitals, etc., but really go far in the interior of the countries to sometimes help maybe 5, 10, 20 families, but it's very difficult to reach because they also are in need. So for us, it took, with this fancy SUV, half a day driving in a riverbed, crossing many rivers, finally getting to a point. I know some of the AJWS staff will laugh, but this is the AJWS staff crossing the river, trying to get to that village that we were approaching. So, in that sense. And then we arrived, and the people were very happy to see us, but really, again, in all seriousness, this idea that, it was a bit anticlimactic. We got there, but there was this, a few people after half a day, this adventurous terrain. But look, this is their life. They lost their home. And the organization that AJWS supported made an effort to get to this very far place to start rebuilding these homes, and this is very important. Sorry. This is Dave. Okay, sorry. And this is from our most recent trip to India in January. Sorry, I'm trying to get back. This is Rekha. Rekha is a waste picker. She collects garbage for a living. She wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, does some of the house chores she needs to do to cook for her children and to clean and whatever. what she needs to do, goes, collects garbage in Pune in India for many hours, then sorts the garbage. As you can see here in the sorting facility, works until 7 o'clock in the evening, after sorting it for several hours, then collecting some of the recyclable items to try and go and sell them to some of these scrap dealers to be able to make a little extra money. Arrives back home only at 7 p.m. to again cook for her family, etc., until she goes to sleep at 11 p.m. All this to be able to provide education for her children, in particular her daughters. She understands that she doesn't want her daughters to be waste pickers, and she knows that if she can provide education for her daughters, they'll be able to develop the skills to provide for themselves in the future, and also with that, not having to maybe forced to get married at an early age. It was a really amazing experience to spend a couple of days with her and to see how she worked and the pride she had in being a garbage collector. You know, this was amazing for me. Not only she was proud, her family was proud of her. And it was really beautiful to see this. It wasn't just kind of a, you know, oh, we're ashamed that I'm doing this, etc. So, and she's very involved in the union. That's organized through one of AJWS's grantees, Krishnakari. You can see here one of the representatives from Krishnakari talking to the women. You know, we wanted to attend one of these meetings, and they said, yeah, you can come and meet us here and there. You know, I thought it was going to be some, no, they sit on the floor, they put some empty boxes, sit on the floor just under the overpass of the highway where they have this sorting facility for garbage, and start debating and talking about their issues, etc. Where in the end, together they succeed in negotiating higher prices for their wages, and also negotiating with some of these scrap dealers to give them fair prices and for them not to cheat them, because they usually play with these scales to make the scale when they put in the recycled materials to be in the favor of the dealer. But through this union, through this organization, they're able to negotiate better prices. You can see some of these women, many women in India work as waste pickers. And here she is, Rekha, with her two daughters outside their house. You can see the pride. The girl on the left is already graduated from school, and she works in Tata Motors, a car manufacturing factory, and the mother, the girl, they're all very proud. You know, she can help provide some income to the family, and the younger girl is in school. You can see how the younger girl is a bit more modern and dressed a bit, where the mother is still quite traditional. And it's amazing to see Rekha. She works in these beautiful saris. This is their work clothes that they work in. So it was also very, very nice to have that, to see her doing that. And I'll end with, I'll segue this into this video, this film that I shot for AJWS, and about Kushi, one of the drivers that was trained by Azad Foundation, and a remarkable young girl. I'm not going to talk too much about her because I want you to hear her talking about her story in her own words. But I'll just talk a little bit. I wanted to show one slide. One of the things as a photographer coming into doing these kind of stories, you know, you tend to come into people's lives. You want to spend a lot of time with them. You don't come and just take a couple of pictures and go away. You want to really bring some depth into the story, and it's all about storytelling. And one of the things I really believe in as a photographer is this putting a face on a statistic. We hear all these stories about early child marriage and how many millions are affected by that every year. But as a photographer, I feel that the best way to communicate these stories to the public is to choose one story and to basically represent a larger issue. And here, I think Kushi is one that can talk about that. But we visited her home, and this is her home, this one room. She's there with her 4 siblings and parents, so there's 7 people living in this They came from the rural areas into Delhi without anything, empty-handed. And Kushi was able to enroll in Azad Foundation's programs to learn how to be a driver. And now really became the main or the highest earning member of the family, which brings a lot of pride to her parents and basically to the family. And you can see living in a very simple way, but still very proud and very happy. So with this, I will give the cue to start the film so we can share with you that as well.
मुझे पहले तो बहुत ज़्यादा मैं बहुत रोती थी जब हम नए नए यहाँ पे आए थे, कुछ भी नहीं था। क्योंकि मैं भी काम किया था। मैं वो तो ऐसे ही है, लोग सुनाते भी हैं, लोग बातें भी बोलते हैं। जब मैंने शुरू किया था तो मैंने एक्चुअली पहले तो सबसे पहले थोड़ा सा फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने के लिए ये ज्वाइन किया।
पहले हम लोग अपने गांव से गया तो दुकान खोले हुए थे परचूनी की, तो वहाँ घाटा हो गया, किसी ने मुझसे चालबाजी कर ली है ऐसे, तो खाली हाथ में हम दिल्ली आए।
सब धीरे धीरे करके ना सब कुछ चला गया, मम्मी की ज्वेलरी वेलरी और सब चीज़ ना। बोल रहा था अगर आपने मेरे पैसे नहीं दिए ना तो मैं आपको मार डालूंगा।
अपना घर छोड़ के तो डरे हुए थे, थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम ज़्यादा थी, तो कहाँ से क्या करते, काम की ज़्यादा पैसे की ज़रूरत थी कि खाली हाथ है। हमारी जब ये बोली हमारी बेटी के हम ड्राइवरी करना चाहते हैं, तो हमारा मन ऐसा हुआ अरे नहीं, लड़की ड्राइव नहीं करती है।
गाड़ी जो ढलान में आ रही है, ये ढलान का मतलब है कि हमें फर्स्ट के
महिला हो बोल करके यह समाज में अभी भी संबोधित किया जाता है कि तुम ये नहीं करोगी, तुम वो नहीं करोगी, तुम ऐसा नहीं करोगी, तुम वैसा नहीं करोगी। लड़कों को बोला जाता है कि तुम लड़के हो, यू कैन डू एनीथिंग। तो वहां पे जब कॉन्फिडेंस और इसकी बात आती है तो भय जो होती है ना महिलाओं में थोड़ी सी ज्यादा होती है, वह भय जो है हम लोग खत्म करते हैं। हमारा काम, आजाद फाउंडेशन का काम है महिला को एक ऐसा सशक्त ड्राइवर बना करके सड़क पे भय खत्म करना है, जो कि कल के डेट में बहुत ही भय मुक्त ड्राइवर बना, और ये बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है।
स्टार्टिंग में जब हम जाते हैं आज़ाद फाउंडेशन जो हमें ट्रेन करता है उसमें होता है सबसे पहले तो एक लर्निंग लाइसेंस मिलने से पहले रोड साइन की ट्रेनिंग होती है। उसके बाद फर्स्ट एड होता है, इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग जिसकी वीक है तो इंग्लिश भी थोड़ा ट्रेन करते हैं वो, और सेल्फ डिफेंस की ट्रेनिंग होती है।
तकरीबन नई नई जो आती है वो थोड़ा जब अनअंडरस्टूड होती है। एक तो मैं ट्रेनिंग इसलिए देता हूँ कि लड़कियाँ जो है कुछ बने, कुछ करे।
तो उसके बाद मतलब एक चेंज आया लाइफ, और मीन्स चुपचाप नहीं रहती हूँ ना डरती। और हम लोग जब टैक्सी चलाते थे तो मीन्स सबका यही होता था कि लड़की ड्राइविंग कर रही हो, वो टैक्सी चलाती है लड़की, और विश्वास नहीं होता था हमें। अपने औरतों को इसलिए डर लगता है क्योंकि वो उनका तो सेम थिंग होता है कि मीन्स अगर मैं बाहर जाऊंगी तो मेरे साथ कुछ हो ना जाए, क्योंकि हमारे दिल्ली में इतने बड़े बड़े रेप हुए हैं। मतलब गाड़ी में बैठी होगी लेकिन वो घबराहट के साथ बैठी होगी कि पता नहीं अगर मेरी हल्की भी आंख झपी तो पता नहीं ड्राइवर कहाँ लेके जाएगा मुझे या व्हाटएवर। और जो लेडीज हैं हमेशा वो ओपनली हर कहीं जा सकती हैं। लोग सखा के कैब इसलिए मंगाते हैं कि मीन्स उनको सबसे पहले दिख जाता है कि हम लेडी ड्राइवर हैं। जबकि मैंने एक बार और नाइट ड्यूटी अभी जब हम लोगों ने की तो मीन्स मैं कर रही थी उस समय, तो वो नोएडा की लेडी थी। वो जैसे ही गाड़ी में बैठी मुझे उनसे ये कमेंट आया कि थैंक गॉड मुझे लेडीज कैब मिली। शायद पहले शायद मेरे पापा होते तो अभी तक शायद मेरी शादी हो चुकी होती अगर मैं झांसी में होती तो। शायद अब मैं ऐसा काम कर रही हूँ जो कि और लड़कियां नहीं करती हैं, तो शायद इस वजह से मतलब मुझे कोई प्रेशर नहीं आता है मेरी तरफ। मीन्स अभी तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है ना, और मैं जो अपने काम में ही बहुत आगे बढ़ना चाहती हूँ, तो मेरी फैमिली की तरफ से मैं कोई प्रेशर नहीं चाहती हूँ। फाइनेंशियल हालत थोड़ी सी ठीक हुई है और बहुत अच्छे तरीके से हम लोग रह रहे हैं,
इसलिए वो देखभाल करती है, घर संभालती है, जैसे तनख्वाह मिलती है माँ को देती है, भाई का ख्याल रखती है, जो भी है सब बहनों के लिए कपड़ा लत्ता लाना है। और हमारे लिए गर्व की बात है कि हमारी बेटी हमारे लिए कुछ कर रही है।
शादी ना करने के फायदे, एक तो सबसे बड़ा फायदा है कि फ्रीडम रहता है, जो मैं प्रोफेशनल मेरा काम है और जो मुझे इज्जत मिलती है और मैं इतने बड़े बड़े लोगों से मिल पाती हूँ। जब मैं गाड़ी में बैठ के ड्राइव कर रही होती हूँ तो मीन्स अपने आप पे मुझे बहुत गर्व होता है कि मैं इस काम को सीख पाई और अभी मैं इतना आगे बढ़ पाई। जो मैं पहले थी, जो मेरे पापा जैसे पहले थे, जितना सब कुछ पहले था, मैं चाहती हूँ वो सब कुछ अब मैं खुद करूँ अपने खुद से।
Remarkable. So thank you so much. This is Meenu Vadera, who heads Azad, who you heard me introduce earlier. Meenu and I were at an event earlier this morning for journalists, and we actually spoke to Kushi via Skype. And to bring you up to date, in the 2 years since this video was shot, she has bought a home for her family. She is a leader in her family. She's become a role model for her sister, who says she wants to become a doctor. She has ambitions to go into management at the cab company, and she still does not want to get married. And says that changes, it will be her decision. Meenu, is Kushi the exception or the rule among the women who you've trained at Azad?
Well, amongst the women that we have worked with in Azad, happily Kushi is not an exception. We have worked with more than 2,000 women. We have helped them go through this training with Azad Foundation, and today there are nearly 500 women professional drivers out there like Kushi, driving their lives and driving the cars. We have almost another 500 who are with us in the training centers, and almost, I can say almost all of them are how Kushi is. Yeah.
And it was a very deliberate strategy on your part to train these women in a profession, in a skill that is typically reserved for men.
Yes.
This busted through the patriarchal structure there. Why was that so central to this model you've developed?
Right. So, if we see mostly not just in India but across the world, the livelihood choices available to poor women are still very limited. they are mostly within their gender stereotypical roles. So it would be cooking, tailoring, crafts, embroidery. Nothing wrong with these, but basically these keep women still within their traditional gendered roles and gendered spaces. They take a lot more work and they're not very remunerative. They don't really earn a lot of money except a little more marginal incomes. And we wanted to break the glass ceiling for the resource poor women. We also wanted to look at livelihoods which we call non-traditional livelihoods, and my friend here called them patriarchy busting livelihoods, because we wanted to move into the domains which are so-called male-held or masculine domains, because these are the domains which are higher paying. There is a vertical and horizontal segregation in jobs for women and men around the world, and we wanted to bring resource poor women into those domains where they can, and once they begin to question gender equality within the work domain, which means like once they come out of their homes and they can start doing works which were earlier in their minds reserved for men, they also begin to think that hello, gender roles can change within the house as well. So for us, driving was a way to attack at the, in a way, at the heart of patriarchy, because it gives women mobility which is very often denied. Women are relegated into the private domains. They grow up inside the house, away from streets. They do not learn to be confident about themselves, go to marketplaces, know where the hospital is, know where the police station is. And so now we have these women who are out on the roads driving their cars 24/7, and they have become resources for their community, apart from doing whatever changes they've done in their own lives.
And when you say a resource for the community, do you mean leaders in their community, role models?
Absolutely. I mean, they have become leaders by virtue of one, gaining confidence in their own selves, two, by building a whole understanding of how the world operates. So, for instance, Khushi, when her mother had to get a surgery done, she was the one who knew which hospital to go to. She was able to negotiate, in terms of interface with the doctors. There's another driver who was, I remember that when her mother required blood, not only was she able to pay for the surgery, but she called up the training center and she said they needed, blood of a certain blood group, and there were 12 women who went ahead and donated their blood. So they have become resourceful in that sense. And so as Khushi also tells me that earlier, I think a lot of young women grew up to be invisible members of their families, their communities. Nobody asks them their opinion or what they think about things. But today, her community people wait for her to come back because they would like advice from her. And that's a huge shift in not just how they see themselves, but how their communities view them.
They were invisible and they were isolated. At this morning event, a policy director at AJWS used what was this kind of beautiful and sad expression to describe the social isolation that young women in India experience because their families want to keep them pure and away from any temptation, I guess. And the phrase was, they enter into a period of mournful silence. And it seems that part of the lives you've helped create for Khushi and the other women breaks through that mournful silence.
Absolutely. I think what happens is because of the way the patriarchy gets structured in most places actually around the world, and women get confined to what we call the private domain, which is inside the homes, and the public spaces are the spaces which are more occupied by men. And as a result, women are not able to build a support structure. We all know that all of us will have handled our crisis in life because we have friends to fall back upon. And unfortunately, when women are relegated into the private domain, these survival networks is also what suffers. So as women like Khushi come out of their homes and they meet with other women around, and they meet with women from a lot of these women who have been part of our training program actually had never traveled from their home to the training center ever before.
Wow.
So as they move out and they build relationships with each other, these are relationships of solidarity. And as we saw in one of the other films, photographs that that Jonathan was sharing, these relationships of solidarity are not just to stand with each other when one is being beaten or is in a crisis, but also to have fun together, to go and see a movie together, to just go and eat some street food together. And that breaks the isolation, and that gives the laughter, and that gives reasons to sing and dance and be together.
I said something to you similar this morning, that we're in this beautiful facility. We see this gorgeously shot video about this tremendously successful young woman. And yet, I can't imagine how hard it's been for you to create what you've created, and for the pockets of resistance that must still exist every day. What pushback do you still get, and how do you face it down?
Right, it has to be a pushback, because we know that we are going against the current, so there is a lot of pushback on all fronts. We face, to begin with, pushback at the community level, where men and women and families feel that girls should not be out for a long number of hours, they should be at home, helping with chores at home, and they should not, like Khush's dad said, in the beginning, he didn't think that driving was girls' job. So we do a lot of work with the communities, with the families, with the men and young boys in these families, because we have learned that it is important to talk to them. The boys have also grown up without anybody really telling them different ways of being. So the only thing they have learned is to exercise power over the women in the household. So there's a lot of work that we need to do at the community level where we face the pushback. We need to work in the market, with people who employ women drivers, with organizations who hire our services, because the gendered context is the same all over. And so there are people, they would, to hire a woman driver, then they have to think twice about it, and then we have to be the ambassadors, we have to convince them, we have to explain why is it possible. And there are clients who would have a problem if their woman driver was waiting in the parking area and talking to a boy, for example. We've had to, we get our clients to sign a contract when they hire a woman driver, and we've had to insert a clause in the contract that they would allow the women drivers, simple thing, the use of a washroom, because we are also a very classist society, and it's not easy to allow people from a different class to enter our homes. And similarly, we have to work at the policy level. So, because even though there are, the policies are so gendered that many times, for instance, getting a license made. Now, we've gone to the government and we've said that, we need a special window for women to get their license made. And we haven't really succeeded so far on that count. But the fact is that it's much easier for a man to go and get a license made as compared to a woman. Basic documents is what poor women don't have. Majority of the women we have worked with, they don't have something called a birth certificate. Khushi herself, like she said, she's a migrant from another state. She studied up to class 8, but she didn't have a school leaving certificate. So when she didn't have proof of birth, she didn't have proof of education. They lived in a rented house, but even if you are living in a house that you own, it's never in the name of women. So she doesn't have a proof of residence. So, so it starts. You can have policies for people, but if the ground is not level, then women are starting with a disadvantage, in there already. So there are all these various pushback factors which we work with on a daily basis.
You said a few moments ago that you've trained about 2,000 women, about 500 of whom are drivers. What about the other 1,500?
Right, so like I said, we would have another 500 who are right now in our various training centers, and then there would be those who have gone through the whole process of training and who have then chosen to, at this point in time, maybe not take on driving, but because a lot of our training is not just about driving, it's about women's rights, women's empowerment, sexuality, self-defense, as you saw, grooming, first aid, English speaking. So we have a very comprehensive training model because we believe that women do not have these skills which are required to get into these non-traditional livelihoods, not because they don't want to have those skills, but because there are social processes and structures which do not allow them to get those skills in the first place. Yeah? So our training is, and we believe, and that's one of the things we've been advocating here at the UN and at the CSW, is that it is not enough to give only skills and expect magic to happen. So you have to, while you are transferring skills to the women, you have to work on those issues, those barriers which were stopping them in the first place in getting those skills. So it's only when skills accompanied by the sense of empowerment and understanding of rights, understanding of your space under the sun, and being able to be confident and say your message, etc. All of this happens that we can, expect that kind of a deep transformation. So for the other thousand women, coming back to your point, we did a study. They have all chosen to go back to different livelihoods, not necessarily driving, and we did a study a couple of years ago to see what impact it has had in their lives, and we know that for more than 90% of them, they have gone back with this message that they have choices in life, that they are not destined to, to accept things as they are. And I think for us, what is most important is that women begin to understand that to be violated against is not their destiny. To be violated against, to experience violence, that there is a choice, and that we all have the choice, and we can exercise that choice.
India is an extraordinarily large country, obviously. Right. This is a drop in the bucket, but it's certainly sending out some ripple effects there. How many other types of organizations similar to Azad are doing the kind of work that you do?
Well, yeah, we are a country with more than 1.5 billion population, very large country. And there are many organizations out there who are working in this domain, who are doing similar work. And also, I would like to say that India has a very rich history of women's movement, and over the last it has one of the strongest women's movement which has fought for women's right to education, for minimum wages, votes, for sexuality, and so many different things. So there are all of these people, but all of us put together are still not enough, I think, to I think there was a statement earlier this year at the World Economic Forum, and it said that if we continue to go as we are going, we will achieve gender equality in 2100, something like that, Yeah. So all of us put together are not enough. We need to do more work. We need to have more partnerships.
And so more is needed to be done. And so let's say I gave you a magic wand and $5 million. Do we have that? A magic wand and $5 million. What would you do with that?
It's a great dream to have, and I think our work is really about deep, transformative kind of work, and I think I would like to use that money to demonstrate what we always advocate with the policymakers, and what we are saying is that no one intervention is enough in itself. So if you want to transform the lives of poor women, and if you want to change, if you want to have another world is possible, a world which is more gender equal, more just, more fair, then I would like to have many more complementary things. I would like to build a city where, of course, we are able to reach out to all resource poor women and bring them into various non-traditional livelihoods, but a city which has roads which are well lit, which has schools for every girl to go and study, which has shelters for women who want to move out of violence in their homes, which has working women's hostels for those young women who may want to work, but they're not allowed to get out of their homes, which has public toilets to allow women working. So a whole lot of complementary initiatives which will demonstrate that another world is possible. I think 50 million should be enough for that.
I want our audience to know you a little better and how you got here. You shared a marvelous story with me about your background and about your father, which leads to Azad.
Right.
Tell us.
Yeah, so I don't often share this story, but Jackie has convinced me that I should talk about it. So we're back in 2007 when we were trying to set up this initiative and thinking of names. So what should we call it? And so we were inspired by my dad, who is no more. He passed away in 1993. But he was a freedom fighter, and he fought as part of the Indian National Army for the independence of India. And when India was still not a free country, he was influenced by a philosopher called, very well-known philosopher called Vivekananda. And it said that even if you are not free physically, but if your spirit is free, and if your dreams are free, then you are really free. And so he decided to take on the name. I mean, he decided that he was a free man because his spirit is free. And our family name is Vadera, but he started calling himself Azad, which means free. And so all my life when I was in school, my friends used to think that maybe I have, he's not he's my stepdad or something. Because his name was Azad. And so that's how we decided to set up Azad Foundation.
Lovely, wonderful story. Thank you.